Hello, welcome back to Mountaineer News 2. Yeah, let's just get the video started. It took me long enough to make a video. Sorry for abandoning everyone for a month again. But I meant to make a video during week 1 of college football, but I was tired and I needed some sleep. I could have made a video, but I was just too lazy to. But I will say that week 1 of college football was really fun, and I really enjoyed every second of it. So, college football is back and it's just as crazy as ever. Now let's see if the NFL could live up to the same hype as college football, which I almost certainly think it will. Now, it's week 1 of the NFL season. Anything can really happen. This is going to be our first real true feeling of these teams. No longer are we going to be berated by the preseason. Now we have real football. Now, if week 1 of college football had anything to say about it, I think we are in for a really good first week of the NFL season. And without further ado, let's get started. Our first game on the list, we got the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Cowboys are in a bit of hot water after the Micah Parsons trade, where they traded him to the Green Bay Packers in exchange for 2 first-round picks. This is obviously going to make the Cowboys' defense much worse, as losing a generational talent like Micah Parsons is definitely going to hurt. On the other side, you have the Philadelphia Eagles, who, despite losing a good chunk of players in the offseason, this is still pretty similar to the same roster from last year that won the Super Bowl. And there's a reason why they are the NFC favorite to go back to the Super Bowl. And, yeah. I'm not going to waste too much time here. This game seems pretty obvious. Dallas has basically gave a signal that we could be entering a rebuild, and the Eagles, looking to see if they could get that repeat, give me Philadelphia. I believe Philadelphia is going to win this game. They'll take it by a final score of probably, let's say, 27-10. 27-10. Then, we got a very intriguing game in Brazil. And no, I'm not going to Brazil. We got the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chiefs, they're coming off of that disastrous performance in Super Bowl 59 to the Philadelphia Eagles. And many people are beginning to question, can the Chiefs keep it going? And honestly, I don't really think so. I mean, if you really look at the roster that they have, if you look at the ages of some of the players, it's not really built to last. And some of the receivers on the Chiefs have gotten into some behavior issues or gotten in trouble. Should be really interesting to see if the Chiefs could keep it going, especially considering that their division has gotten a lot better. On the other side, you have the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, they did get a few minor pieces in the offseason, but I was really impressed with the Chargers last year. And I really think that the Chargers could and definitely can make a run at the division. And you get this week 1 opener in Brazil. I think I'm going to go with the upset here. I'm taking the Chargers to win. Now, it's going to be really close. I think Kansas City is definitely going to put up a good, solid performance on defense, and Patrick Mahomes is going to be Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce is going to be interested in trying to show off to his new wife. I hate that. I hate that relationship so much. But they're not going to get their first win this time around. Give me the Chargers to win by a final score of 33-30. Now we got the first 2 games out of the way, and the primetime slates off Thursday and Friday. We got the NFL Sunday slate. And the first game on our list, we got the Miami Dolphins taking on the Indianapolis Colts. The Dolphins had a very, and I mean a very disappointing season last year. The Dolphins, there's a lot of question marks around them. And many people are wondering, can the Dolphins, well, do something? And luckily for them, they're playing the Colts. I'm just getting out of the way. The Colts are a mess. I feel like the Colts are going to be definitely one of those teams that are going to be tanking this year for one of the top quarterbacks. Like in week 1 of college football, you saw many of the quarterbacks that are going to be in the NFL draft playing. And Daniel Jones is not the answer for Indianapolis, and neither is Anthony Richardson. If there was ever a game that the Dolphins needed to start out with, it's against this team. Give me Miami to take care of business against the Colts. They'll take it by a final score of about 31-14. It's going to be a pretty one-sided game. My score predictions could be wrong, but the teams I pick could be right. Then we got my Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Jets New Jersey Sucks, or the New York Jets. The Jets, they're back in rebuild mode again. Why have the Jets never been in rebuild mode anyway? And they're taking on a Pittsburgh Steelers team that have been rebooted in the offseason. And there are a lot of questions with the Steelers, especially with Aaron Rodgers, which I am still not sold on. I still don't know why we decided to trust that washed-up conspiracy theorist, but I think maybe we should just at least give him a chance, because Will Howard is on IR until week 4. Man, my nose is so itchy, it's actually annoying. I believe that Pittsburgh is definitely going to be coming out swinging in this first game. Now, it's easy to see why people would pick the Jets in this game, considering that's the first week of the season. The Jets, they have Justin Fields. Pittsburgh screwed over Justin Fields. He may want revenge. But I think Pittsburgh's defense will be the difference maker here, and I think the offense will do just enough to get us by with the win. And I think Pittsburgh will win, but it's going to be ugly. Pittsburgh will win 23-13, and I'm pretty sure all of our points are going to come from field goals. I probably don't think we're going to score a touchdown. Then we got the Carolina Panthers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars, boy did they disappoint last year. And then you have the Panthers, who people say could surprise folks. Personally, I think the Panthers are going to be much better this year. Now, I don't think the Panthers are going to make the playoffs, but they're definitely going to be around that 7-10 range. 7-10 or 8-9. They're going to be at least competitive and maybe have a shot. But we're taking a look at a Jaguars team who I believe are going to be much better than last year. Trevor Lawrence entering season number 4, I believe. I really think that this is truly Jacksonville's make or break year. We really have to see, was last year's failures a fluke, or can this team actually compete for the AFC South? And I think this game is going to be a bit close, but I'm taking Jacksonville to defeat Carolina. I think Jacksonville will probably win. So give me Jacksonville by a final score of about 25-22. Score got me, I think. I don't know. Please ignore the dogs barking. Please ignore them barking. I don't think I can tune it out, so you're going to have to deal with it. Then we got the Arizona Cardinals at the New Orleans Saints. The Saints, boy, they are going to tank this year. Like, I predict that New Orleans is going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL by a country mile. and I think this first game of the season is really going to show it. Then you have the Arizona Cardinals, who I believe will win the NFC West. Now you're probably asking, Luca, what about the Rams and the Seahawks? Well, I think both teams have a bit of uncertainty around them. The Rams roster is getting pretty old from that Super Bowl thing, and their window is closing. And then you have, Seattle, who has been unproven with a brand new, with Sam Darnold, who is going to be in charge. Now we're going to see if Sam Darnold really was carried by Minnesota. But yeah, I really think it's going to be Arizona's division. I think they're going to have a statement win over the Saints. So give me the Cardinals taking it by a final score of about 34-13. Look, I'm coming up with these scores on the top of my head. The picks are all that matter, okay? I don't need to practice scores, but I'm going to say them anyway to make me sound like those professional talkers on ESPN. Or I don't know. Moving on. Then we got the New York Giants taking on the Washington Commanders. And the Commanders, I think the Commanders are definitely going to be contenders. Will they be as good as last year? We don't know. Now, the big question surrounding the Washington Commanders is Jaden Daniels going to have a sophomore slump? That's the question. Is he going to have a sophomore slump? Personally, I think he's going to struggle a lot more than he did last year, considering now that teams have footages and clips of him more. They can study his game better. But thankfully you're playing the Giants, so you get an automatic win there. Because the Giants, boy, New York, you are screwed. You are screwed, New York. I am sorry. No sugarcoating it. No sugarcoating it. Give me the Washington Commanders. Then we got a really big game in the AFC South. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Atlanta Falcons. And this game will determine who will have the NFC South for the season. The Buccaneers, in my opinion, are definitely a dark horse Super Bowl contender. And it's not hard to see why. Now, last year they were going to be a lot better, but the injury bug definitely hit Tampa hard. And the Falcons, you're taking a look at Michael Penix Jr., and we're going to see if he could be the guy for Atlanta. I'm not sure. And I believe that Atlanta will compete with Tampa, but there's just so much uncertainty with the Falcons. Give me the Buccaneers to win. Then we got the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Cleveland Browns. The Bengals could have the number one offense in the NFL, but they could almost certainly have one of the worst defenses this season, because they were horrible in the preseason. And may I remind you, they were playing their starters. And these Bengals are taking on a Cleveland Browns team that is in a bit of an identity crisis. The Browns rolling with Joe Flacco after Deshaun Watson's injury, which he deserved, and they are stuck with Joe Flacco until he messes up. I mean, there's just so much turmoil around Cleveland, and to the point where I think Cincinnati will win. But however, I have a big however, it will all have to depend on, can Cincinnati's defense keep Joe Flacco contained? I think the offense is really going to carry, and I would not be surprised if Cleveland scores a lot of points in this game, because we know how bad that Bengals defense is. So I think Cincinnati still wins this game. only because of the fact that they have that prolific offense. So give me Cincinnati. Then we got the Las Vegas Raiders and the New England Patriots. Look, I know people are somewhat optimistic about the New England Patriots, but it's Mike Vrabel's first year. I don't know if he's going to be that good, and the Patriots roster still needs a ton of work. And then you have the Raiders. Bring in Geno Smith and Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly. I mean, the Raiders, despite getting a running back and despite having Brock Bowers, I think the Raiders are going to be really terrible. I think Pete Carroll is probably going to be one season and fire. I don't think that he's a long-term option as head coach. Really, I think this is just a throwaway year for Vegas. But somehow, I think New England's situation is a bit worse than Vegas's. And I think the Patriots are still going to try to find their footing here, whereas the Raiders do have a little bit more stability. Now, don't get me wrong, the Raiders are going to suck, but I'm giving them the Week 1 W. But it's going to be a really, really close game. So give me the Raiders, but extremely close. Then, we got the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. The 49ers Super Bowl window has officially closed, and the Seahawks are looking to take the NFC West. Now, there's a lot of uncertainty with San Francisco. I mean, yes, they have the easiest schedule, but they're still rebuilding. I mean, I don't know. There's just a lot of uncertainty around San Francisco. Whereas with Seattle, they almost made the playoffs. They finished 10-7 but missed it. I think Seattle will win the game, but I will not be surprised if San Francisco gives them a fight. Then we got the Tennessee Titans taking on the Denver Broncos. Do I really even need to go too much into detail? It'll be Cam Ward's first game, who no one has talked about. Really? I've heard basically nothing about this Titans roster. I mean, I think they're definitely going to be better than last year. It's only a mild improvement. But, give me Denver. I think the Broncos are going to be looking to try to get that AFC West title. I think they could definitely compete with the Chiefs this year. Give me the Broncos to get their first win of the season. Now we're on to the primetime games. You can tell because I switched papers. Now you got an intriguing matchup because of the Micah Parsons trade. You got the Detroit Lions taking on the Green Bay Packers. The Packers definitely improved defensively with Micah Parsons, and many people are now saying the Packers are Super Bowl contenders. As for me, not really. I mean, Micah Parsons was traded to Green Bay a week before the season, and let's not forget that he was holding out, so he wasn't really that practicing during training camp. He was holding out because Jerry Jones was an idiot. So I think Micah Parsons is going to start out a bit rusty in this game. He's going to be a bit rusty. He's going to be a lot slower. And plus, he still needs to understand the play calling, the new plays, and get everything fitted. So I don't know if Micah Parsons is going to be ready to go on week 1. Now he's going to play, but I don't think he's going to play as well as he did in Dallas. But just for this game, because he's still trying to get used to everything. Meanwhile, I think the Detroit Lions are the most complete team in football. I think they have quite possibly one of the best rosters in football. I know the game is in Green Bay, but in my opinion, I'm taking the Lions. But it's going to be a lot closer than what I thought it was going to be. So give me the Lions. Then you got a pretty intriguing game at the 4 p.m. slot. You have two teams on very similar paths. You have the Houston Texans and the Los Angeles Rams. Now, this one is a bit close to me. I mean, both teams are pretty similar in most categories. The big question surrounding the Houston Texans is, can they bounce back after a disappointing season? And can CJ Stroud bounce back after a disappointing sophomore slump? Where on the other side you have the Rams, who are a bit there. They're definitely going to compete for the NFC West, but I do believe that their window of dominance or their window of success is starting to close due to age. But I feel like with the game being in Los Angeles and culminating with the fact that the Texans still don't really have an offensive line, give me the Rams. My brain is dying right now because I've been talking for about, 20 minutes. Alright, let's wrap this up. We only have 2 more games to go. Bear with me, people who are still watching. We got a Sunday night game between the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. The Ravens, favorites in the AFC to go to the Super Bowl, and some people's number 1 choice to win the Super Bowl. And I really do believe that this is Baltimore's all-in year. This is Baltimore's all-in year. Because in my opinion, if there was ever a year for the Ravens to win the Super Bowl, it would be this year. On the other side, you have the Buffalo Bills, who are also trying to go all in and getting a Super Bowl here. And now you have these two teams who are constantly trying to get above Kansas City's thumb, duking it out to see who is truly second place in the AFC. Now, I want to keep this in mind. The Ravens played much different in the regular season than the playoffs, so don't worry about that playoffs. Now, this game could definitely go either way. But however, we must remember that the Bills are definitely sloppy in Week 1 play. I believe the Bills are going to come out a lot slower than what people will think they are going to be. I think the Ravens will take advantage of that. I think Baltimore wins, but in an extremely close game. Now, I have Baltimore winning, but I would absolutely not be surprised if the Bills win. And I kind of hope the Bills win because, you know, Pittsburgh needs the North back. And finally, our Monday night game, we have the Minnesota Vikings against the Chicago Bears. The Bears seem to be rebooted after a very intriguing offseason, where people claim that they were off-season champs once again. But still, I want to see results on the field, okay? Like, come on, Chicago. You have the talent. You just got to put it all together. Do I think they're going to be a lot better this year? Oh, yeah. But will they make the playoffs? Probably not. As for the Vikings, they're rolling with J.J. McCarthy, and I really think the Vikings' success does lay on the hands of McCarthy. I do believe that Minnesota is probably going to play well with McCarthy, just because there's so much talent on that team, and Minnesota's defense is rock solid. I think Minnesota is going to win this game pretty handily, and yeah, that's it. So that was my Week 1 predictions. I'm glad that people decided to click on this video, and I hope you guys consider watching more of this type of videos, which you're probably not, because, I'm just a guy on a chair. Anywho, I'm Mountaineer News 2. Goodbye, y'all.